All right, there's the next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions, continuing the Monday Night War series. This is going to be round two, Raw versus Nitro, September 11th, right?
Yes,
1995. All right. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's get into it. First time around, Nitro wins by default
By
because
default,
Monday
yeah.
Nitro, no, Monday
We
Night
don't, we don't.
Raw was not on the air.
They're not in the lead. We're going to just negate that. Like, it's not 1-0. Nitro's leading right now. We'll negate it,
Okay, fine.
you know.
This week they're back. We can compare the two. It is good to note that the first rating ever for the Monday Nitro was a 2.5, and for 1995, that's pretty good.
Good, yeah. Debut.
Um, so let's get into it. There was a couple of wrongs that I think Nitro did in on their show here with their debuts, and probably a couple of things that Raw did well too. Now, it is good to note that this Monday Night Raw was taped back
Hmm.
August 28th. It's also funny that their dark match on that night was Lex Luger, Shawn Michaels, and The Undertaker defeating Men on a Mission and Sid. And this same night, which this match was not aired, Lex Luger is going for the world title against Hulk Hogan. Air the match, and he beats Rude's record. So, but let's go. Let's start comparing. First, we got Eric, Mongo, and Bobby doing the commentary, and we got
Hmm.
Vince and Jerry Lawler. Score one for Vince and Lawler. Um, Nitro's opening match was Sabu versus Alex Wright.
That's wonderful.
Um, this is where it didn't make any sense to me. Now, the match itself was awesome, and Sabu clearly won it in the ring. And then because he after the match, after the bellows rang, he puts Alex Wright through the table. Nick Patrick goes ahead and reverses the decision and gives the match to Alex Wright.
It's WCW.
It is, and
Mhm.
you just had somebody debut that you just made them now lose. And this is not only not the first time tonight that's going to happen. So that was their first match. Monday Night Raw's first match was Razor Ramon versus the British Bulldog.
Hmm.
And again, the match was going great until you have Dean Douglas interrupting, coming down during the match. And not only that, you have the 1-2-3 kid coming down. And Dean Douglas doesn't get caught, but the kid does. But here's the thing. When the 1-2-3 kid went off the top rope and went to splash Bulldog, and Bulldog got out of the way, he hits
He
Razor.
hits Razor. Yeah.
Technically, that should disqualify the British Bulldog, and Razor
Yeah.
should be the winner. But it's the other way around, and Razor Ramon's been disqualified,
Well,
and the
yeah,
British
yeah,
Bulldog
yeah.
won
I
the
don't know.
match.
They the thing with Dean Douglas has started at the SummerSlam, right? Backstage,
Yep.
they had
When he
gotten into it.
critiqued Razor's match,
Yeah, yeah. And so
gave him
they're
a hell of
feuding.
a
Yeah,
slap.
yeah.
And of course, 1-2-3 Kid and Razor are going back and forth with their constantly coming in, running in on their matches, and unfortunately costing the other one the match.
Right. And so now
What's going
they're
to wind up
yeah.
happening here is the following Monday Night Raw, the 1-2-3 Kid and
Hmm.
Razor Ramon are actually going to face each other.
Right, right.
Well, let's see if Nitro can sweeten the deal. Their next match on the card was for the United States title, Sting versus VK Wall Street. Not only are
Oh,
you
Jesus
making your
Christ.
debut, but you're getting a title shot on top of that.
Mike Rotunda.
And then they're asking, where's all this VK coming from? Bobby, you should know.
Vincent Kennedy.
That's what my guess was. Either that or he was spelling varsity club, but club with
With
a
a
K.
K?
I didn't know. It could be either one. Who really knows?
I think it was
I thought
VK.
Michael Wall Street would have been just fine
Yeah.
because that's what he was being debuted at
Mm.
the week before, but then he comes out as VK. I didn't understand why they gave him a title match to begin with, but now he's not going to become the champion. So
No,
again, he's going to lose, and that's another debut shot to hell.
I get it.
I don't understand it, but what do we always say? It's WCW.
WCW.
Before the match even started, though, Bischoff, made his things, stay here, don't change the channel, don't turn and tune into Monday Night Raw. They made their wisecracks. It's fine. I
He
laugh
gives
at
away
them.
he gives the away the results too on this night. He gives away the results. I'm pretty sure, yeah, of some of the
He does
matches.
it every week. I mean,
No,
it's
but right, I'm
whatever.
saying right out of the gate, like right out of the gate. This is the first night they're actually head to head. I didn't remember that he did it right away. I thought he waited a while.
He said, "Don't change the channel." Shawn Michaels hits the big man with a super kick that wouldn't qualify in a judo class or something like that.
So that I mean, It's kind of funny, but it's funny because I watched Nitro as we were getting ready to review this. I watched Nitro first, and I didn't remember what that Raw was. So then, you know,
Yeah,
he's
I didn't
giving
either. I
away.
watched Nitro
He's
first
giving
too.
away. Bischoff is giving, and I'm like, God damn it, Bischoff! I was like, I didn't remember this.
I don't
Like,
remember the matches. Don't
right,
tell
right.
me.
Don't tell me. I thought it was funny, just because that's how the effect was when you were watching it back then. He also did mention the AWOL thing about Vader. Vader is AWOL, and he didn't. You know,
He didn't sign the proper paperwork, so
but the,
therefore he's out of War
yeah, but
Games
the true story was that he got his ass handed to him by Paul Orndorff backstage.
with
So
slippers on.
with slippers on, yeah.
So Vader's out. Eventually, we all know he's going to sign with
He's
WWE.
fired, yeah. He got canned.
And then, of course, before the Sting match, Mean Gene had interviewed Ric Flair. Um, as Flair was talking about facing Arn Anderson in a fall brawl, Lex Luger came out. Flair's talking him up and whatnot, and Luger's like, everything, the more things change, the more they stay
Yeah,
the
I didn't
same.
understand why Luger even
And
came
then
out.
and then he leaves.
And he leaves.
Luger coming back at this point was very complex and trying to figure things out. It's like he's a fan favorite, but Hogan and Savage aren't buying the
All
BS.
right, then he ends up working with the Dungeon. Remember after this, he works
Eventually,
somewhere
yes,
down. But he's not really a part of the Dungeon, but he's kind of working with them,
yeah, because he was
right?
in that horrible 2-on-8 match.
Yeah, because Jimmy Hart had his contract or something, right? This is so long ago, I don't remember
Yeah,
everything.
because on this night at the end, um, Sting, Sting is vouching for him to be in the match, and then of course, Jimmy Hart gets involved in it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Savage doesn't want him in there, and then Hogan agrees to it. Blah 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 blah. It's been a whole thing since Luger showed up, and again, he said again tonight, I'm tired of playing with kids. I want to wrestle with the big boys. So we got it. You want to wrestle the boys? We got it. Okay. In any event, by the way, there was a match. Sting hits the splash off the top rope, gets the pin. BK Wall Street starts off 0-1,
See you.
and Sting is still the United States champion. So that was their second match. Raw's second match of the night was the Smoking Guns versus Rad Radford and the Brooklyn Brawler.
Oh, Jesus.
I rather watch the Sting BK Wall Street match again
It's a jobber match.
because this
I forgot
was
that the Raw
was a
still kind
shit
of had
show.
these jobber matches. I forgot about
They
that.
did because then you had another one following with Isaac
Right,
Yankem.
right. Mm-hmm.
They would have. Well, I wouldn't say that was a jobber match. It was Scott Taylor, Scotty Too Hottie, but at the time he was a
At
jobber.
the time, he was a jobber.
They still would do that from time to time, and I didn't understand it. You have an hour, you have this roster. I mean, bring them out
Right,
there.
right,
Don't do
right.
this jobber garbage no more. But I think within the next year they kind of
It
stopped
stops,
it,
yeah.
unless you had a big guy that had to prove his dominance. Because even to this day, Raw still does it. So, I mean, the Smoking Guns facing those two guys. I mean, it's not even worth bringing up. But
Smoking Guns win.
exactly, Bart holds him aside, suplex,
Yeah,
leg drop
yeah.
by Billy Gunn. They get the victory
There
in
you
less
go.
in like 2.5 minutes.
Thank God. All right, moving on. Back.
There you go.
Eh,
And then, of course, after that, they showed a video package for Goldust, who'll be making his debut
yeah.
soon. So now we go back to Monday Nitro. Their third match of the evening was the Macho Man Randy Savage versus Scott Norton.
Yeah, and that started last week.
Yes,
That build up.
Norton comes out of nowhere, and then Savage comes out of nowhere. He made the
Mhm.
challenge to him. This was
Scott,
a really good match of Norton showing his dominance and his strength.
yeah, the thing was like Scott Norton was huge. He was big in Japan. He was a big star in
Yes,
Japan. So unfortunately, in WCW, he never became as big as maybe he could have been because he did have the talent, you know.
yes, he
So
did.
his arrival wasn't as impactful as you would have thought it would have been if you didn't know the history. Um, but it was good to see him versus Macho Man. Macho Man's always gonna give you a good match too. So
Exactly. And to give Scott Norton, Macho Man, I mean, that's pretty impressive to see what you
mhm.
can do. And he was saying how I broke his back and he's going on and dominating. And then Savage got the momentum. But, you know, here comes Shark and Kamala into the ring. And of
Oh
course,
jeez,
Savage
Dungeon,
throws Norton into them.
Dungeon as
Kamala
well.
falls outside. Yeah, Shark falls down on Norton's legs, where Savage then gets the elbow and gets the pin on Scott Norton. And then, of course, here comes the rest of them: Zodiac, Kevin Sullivan,
That
Ming,
won't be the last time.
and
It won't be the last time.
no, it will not. We will see them again later on.
It sucks to be
And
Hogan's
of
friend
course,
because you inherit all of his problems. by being his friend. Because the Dungeon, I think, really had a problem with Hogan, and it just Macho Man by
It was just
extension.
Hogan, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I want to be friends with that guy.
Macho should have kicked him in the
Yeah,
groin and got the hell out of there. And of course, Scott Norton gets up in Shark's face, after the match, and then the Dungeon just left. So now the third match for Monday Night Raw was Isaac Yankem versus Scott Taylor. Now they had showed before the match Brett versus Yankem at
uh,
SummerSlam. This was another squash match for Scotty 2 Hotty and Kane. I mean, Scott Taylor
yeah.
and Isaac Yankem. I'd like to go to the Attitude Era with these
Couple
two guys,
years,
but unfortunately,
couple years away.
we've got yeah, we've got 286 more of these to go. And so he hits Taylor with what he called the DDS, which is really the DDT. Another squash match, but Isaac Yankem gets the victory. And of course, following that match, Todd Pettengill gave a rundown of the In Your House matches that were
Mhm.
going to be coming up in about a week. I think it was a week, 2 weeks. So then, following now the main events for both shows. The first one we'll go to is Hulk Hogan defending the WCW title against Lex Luger.
Yep, the total
This was a.
package.
I've always said this, and I'll say it again. Monday Nitros were their pay per views, and their pay per views were Monday Nitros.
Sometimes, yeah,
If you
sometimes, yeah.
flipped them, WCW would have been awesome because I really enjoyed watching. I'm enjoying watching these now. I actually watched a few ahead
It
just
also
because. That it's an
it
hour.
helps that it's just an hour now, so it's like, oh, it's not too bad. This is pretty
When did
good.
they start the 2 hour? Was it for? It
Uh,
was for a while.
sometime in '96, spring of '96, I think they start going to two
So it's
hours.
coming up soon.
Yeah, Raw doesn't go to 2 hours until I think '98, maybe something like that.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I could be wrong. It's around sometime.
I don't know, but once they get to both 3 hours, we're in for a ride, boy.
No, it doesn't. It never
And
gets to both of them 3 hours. It's only Nitro that's 3 hours. Raw remains 2 hours up until the end of the
oh,
night.
thank God.
Yeah, it's not 3 hours for
Well,
for years.
okay, 5 instead of 6 hours. Either way, we're still in for it. So I really enjoyed this match. Luger, they
Did you
both guys did this to each other. Good.
did you notice Hogan really wasn't getting cheered? Barely.
No, it was Luger more than him.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
remember, this is around the time that he's
People are
starting
getting tired. They're
to
getting
get the
tired.
booze. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're getting tired of the same old shtick.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pastamania for me the week before kind of did
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Because the
And of
reactions were
course,
initially good in '94. The reactions were initially good in '94. It's not until
mhm.
like end of '95 where you start to kind of hear the boos and
They're
silence because he's
just
hulking
tired
up and
of
like
it.
yeah, they're like nobody cares really. Yeah.
It's a new wrestling demographic now coming in, and I mean, diehard wrestling fans have now seen this for
Hmm.
11, 12 years, and it's like, okay, yeah, we get it. They do their finisher, they hulk, you hulk
Right.
up, boot, leg drop, you're gonna go home. So they saw Luger come in as a new threat to Hogan, never before seen match,
Hmm.
and they loved it.
Yeah.
And of course, Luger's gonna get cheered. Now, the one thing I liked in this match is they both did a suplex to each other and no sold it. That was pretty cool. When I first saw Hogan no sell it, I'm like, oh, this is typical. But then Luger did the same thing. I'm like, oh, okay, one up each other, got it. Now, Bischoff, of course, runs his mouth again during this match, talking about with Lex Luger. He said, WWF champion barely made it through the mid-level status here. But in about 6 months, you'll be drooling to sign him to a contract. We get it. But you'll talk shit about him now. It's fine. It's business. We get it. Mid-level or not, he's running this ship through shitty waters in 1995, but Diesel did a pretty damn good job of it, in my opinion.
Diesel.
Despite the fact that they held back Undertaker and Bret Hart, we
Oh,
talked about this
Diesel was a terrible champion. I don't want to get into this. He was
during
not.
the time. During that time, yes, he was adequate, but again, they held back Taker and Bret for him to shine, but there was nobody else
I
to
just
shine with.
we could be here all night about Diesel, but anyway.
We were before when
Yeah,
we did his
yeah,
episode.
yeah.
But okay, moving on. Luger got Hogan in the torture rack, but
He
he
thought he
thought he
won.
won, so he dropped him.
Yeah, he thought he won.
That was a mistake. And then, of course, as Hogan's about to go for the leg drop, here comes the Dungeon of Doom. They come out, they attack just Hogan. Sting and Savage came out, and they're all asking the
Mm-hmm.
question, why did the Dungeon of Doom leave you alone? And I'm like, yeah, I'm asking that question too.
Because Hogan
And
actually had Luger. He had Luger beat. He had him.
Yes.
He had him. Because what happened was he had him in the torture rack. His arm came down 2 times, and the last time Hogan's
Hmm.
arm didn't come down all the way. He thought he won, drops him. Eventually Hogan goes and he had him. Hogan had him beat. Dungeon comes out, but they didn't attack. Like you said, they didn't attack Lex.
Yep. And
Uh,
Savage was saying how Luger has a alternate
Jimmy Hart.
agenda,
Well, Jimmy Hart
alternative
runs to the
agenda.
back. Jimmy Hart runs to the back to get Sting and Macho Man.
Yep.
They come running in to save the day.
And they're all talking. Sting wants Luger in War Games now that Vader is AWOL. Savage don't want him in there because, like I said, he said he's got an alternative
Right.
agenda.
He was asking why didn't they attack him, and so
I'm even asking that
yeah.
question to be honest because they looked at him and just
But
left him
yeah.
alone.
But Luger ends up
And
accepting the I'll prove myself or whatever, and
and then
so
Hogan said
Hogan,
that yeah, you could be on the
Hogan
team.
had the final vote, yeah. So
Yep. So Lex Luger is now part of War Games
mm-hmm.
at Fall Brawl. So now we move on to the main event of Monday Night Raw. For the Intercontinental Championship, Shawn Michaels defending the title of what he should have been defending it against at SummerSlam, Psycho Sid.
Sid, yeah.
Sid was moved out of the off the program thanks to Gorilla Monsoon putting Razor Ramon into the ladder
Mm-hmm.
match, but Sid would get the winner tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and he did. This was a good match. Sid and Shawn, to me, I've always had good matches in '96 and '97, including here. It was cool that notice for Shawn to win the match. It was a super kick to the belly, and then 2 super kicks to the face, and then finally, then that's how he gets the pin. And then naturally does the striptease in the ring.
Yeah, we could have done without that.
Yeah,
I thought it was funny when he was about to when he cut the promo on the back before he walked to the ring. He saw the ladder and he was like, "Oh,
yeah.
that was actually funny."
Vintage Shawn,
But
baby.
damn, Sid couldn't get the IC title, man. Couldn't get the IC
Nope.
title.
And then following that match, Doc Hendricks interviewed both Diesel and Michaels about the triple header match.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Diesel said 2 chaps with all the
With all the straps,
straps.
yeah, because they're
With,
going
with
for
a
the tag team titles.
tiny little loophole in there
Yeah.
that they do with the thing, but we already covered that.
Well, they had
So
mentioned the thing about the disqualification.
if anybody was disqualified, they lose their
Intentionally,
titles.
like if they intentionally got themselves disqualified, in
Yeah.
order not to lose the title, they would lose one of the titles. Yeah, with Yoko, it's Shawn, the IC champion, Diesel, the world champion, versus the tag team champions, Yokozuna and Owen
Owen
Hart
Hart.
at
Yeah.
the In Your House in a couple weeks after that.
Yokozuna's last main event of a pay per view,
Yeah,
unfortunately, because then he's going downhill from there.
so
But these were the 2 shows. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with Nitro because of the main event. Even though
I am too.
Shawn and Sid they put on a great performance, like I thought the match was fine. You're never gonna get a bad
Mm-hmm.
Shawn Michaels match, and he always made Sid look
No.
good. Just the idea of seeing Hogan versus Luger,
Yes.
a match that we all wanted to see, like that. The story is what, and plus with Sting getting involved in Macho Man. I mean, look at that squad, Luger,
Star
Macho
power
Man,
in there.
Sting, Hogan, like that team.
Imagine having a fatal 4-way match right there
Yeah.
of
So
those guys.
I'm gonna give Nitro the edge on this one just because. Then they actually lost, right?
Yes, they did, but just 1 point.
Point one, man. That's
2.5 for Monday Night Raw, 2.4 for Nitro.
That's pretty.
But
easy.
I'm gonna give the edge to Monday Nitro. I think their main event was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
It was
The story,
a first
man,
time ever seen. Luger making a huge impact, showing up the week before at the Mall of America. Where this is going for War Games, and let's just not even just talk about the main event. Just look at the rest of the card.
Yeah.
Macho Man and Scott Norton.
Right.
I want to ding Nitro a little bit because of the debuts. That they shit the bed with the debuts, but the main event, hands down, phenomenal.
There was no jobber matches, so they kind of
exactly.
That was smart.
Monday Night Raw, unfortunately, having 2 of them.
Yeah.
They had a strong opening match with a good storyline with Razor and Bulldog and a decent main event. Like you said, Shawn Michaels is going to make anybody look good in the ring. But Hogan and Luger, hands down, man, I got to give it to them.
So as of right now, it's 1 Nitro, 0 Raw. Because the first week we're not going to count.
1 more,
yeah,
for the good guys.
The first week we're not going to count because they didn't go.
Yeah, we can't count that.
There was no Raw, so Nitro by default, but we're not going to count that. So it's 1-0 so far. So
out of 288.
Yeah. So
who gets 145 wins?
But it's the last 2 years, it's like a landslide WWF. Nitro loses from 99 on. So
Yeah,
you
but
know.
there were some of those nitros that I would kind of disagree with. I understand the ratings and whatnot, but I would kind of
Well,
disagree on some of those nitros when it came to Raw.
we'll
But
have to we'll have to wait till we
years
get
from
there.
now,
Yeah.
we'll get
So
to that.
yeah. So all right. Well, you guys let us know. Let us know what you think about the who won the night. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.